Hey, welcome back to the channel, man. I want to send my condolences to YNG Cheese and Gillie da Kid and Wallow, man. This should have all been avoided. And they got the suspect, man. They finally been looking for the dude that did this to them. At first, they was going to put a whole manhunt around this dude, but the reports came out after they talked to the witnesses, after they reviewed the footage. They finally got the dude in the hood right next to where everything just happened at, man. I told y'all that Olney was a place where it was in the north side, man. I'm trying to tell y'all the north side was where everything went out, and that's where the dude was at. They seen where the car turned at, and they saw the fact that one of the people had put it in the garages, and the neighbors had seen that that car, it was not being used, and it was awfully suspicious because it fit the description. So when they got the warrant, when they got the whole entire footage, they pulled up to the dude's house and they had the standoff. They had to have the feds get on the roof, and some of them went through the basement window and literally just went from the bottom up and met in the middle. The dude was hiding under the bed next to the closet and was trying to make sure that he didn't get caught, but it was too late for this dude, man. I want to send my condolences again, RIP to YNG Cheese, because Wallow seen this coming from a mile away. He told them dudes not to try anything at all to him, because at the end of the day, they should have went to Wallow and Gillie da Kid first, man, instead of going to their son. He was just an oldie trying to hang out with his friends. They didn't know that there was a whole beef going on or anybody was trying to slide at all, man. Because if they would have known that was Gillie da Kid's son, then they wouldn't have did anything like that, man. So I want to show you guys that the security wasn't there that night. They took the night off of security, and basically what happened next is that he was waiting there and somebody had dropped the location, because the investigators asked the suspect exactly how he found that YNG Cheese was over there, and they said that somebody dropped the location, man. So they're getting the justice for YNG Cheese. There's still another person that they're trying to get, but this is the getaway driver. The guy who actually, he's going to figure out who pulled the trigger, man. They're trying to get him to actually pin it on one of the guys because they got his fingerprints on the steering wheel of the car. When they impounded the car, the feds did a full thorough search of the vehicle and reported everything that came up in the fingerprints. They had the hound dogs smell the articles of clothing that was left inside the car, and they traced and tracked it down to the suspect that was identified, and he went into the precinct in North Philly, and they took his mugshot and processed him in as an inmate. And now they're trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together and see if they can flip that guy to actually get into justice for YNG Cheese and Gillie da Kid, man, because he knows exactly who the person is that he dropped off. They told him that he had to drive the car for him because he owed them money. And so he had to do this in order for him to even get off of his debt. So what they said is that the getaway driver pulled off, made a right and a left, and they hid back into the neighborhood because it was already dark. Once they got to this main street, they hit the side street and went down to that nearby hood in North Philly, man. Olney is not too far away from where everything went down. And so this is the reason why they started and was able to find him out within a week, because basically he was still in the area and he didn't want to come out the house until somebody had seen him coming out the house to actually go and run a play. He was getting picked up by somebody, and that's when they called it in, because they had the reward out there for any information for YNG Cheese. So somebody called the anonymous tip line and gave the information leading to them actually taking down the dude. They came early in the morning and everybody was outside because they seen the whole entire tanks roll up. When the SWAT team pulled up, man, they had the warrant fresh, ready, hot off the press. They had one of the judges do a DocuSign for it. So it was digital. They caught him by surprise because he was sleeping in the morning. Once they got into the whole place, they threw the flashbangs and everything like that. And that's how they stunned him and was able to get all the way into his room without having no type of confrontation. He had to give it up. So eventually they came out with him in cuffs and everything. He held his head down so the dreads covered his face. And basically he didn't want to be identified or anything like that because he knew the whole entire city of Philly was basically looking at him as the bad guy, man. And he might end up telling on his partner that he ended up dropping off, that says, allegedly, he says that he wasn't the one and that the dude he gave the ride to was the one that did it. So they're going to review and everything and figure out exactly how many people were inside the car, because they only got one of them right now. And this is the getaway driver. They know for a fact that the plates came back to somebody's house and everything. When they went there, they said that, yeah, they let so-and-so borrow the car. So-and-so who borrowed the car was the same one that was the getaway driver. So as soon as they gave his name up, they was able to find out, okay, so where's this car been going to? They got the footage and played it in reverse and seen the hideout that they came from. They pulled up to the stash house that they came from. They looked at the footage in reverse and found out through the Ring cameras that there was only just a half a mile down the road. So once they pulled up, they knew for a fact that it had to have been that crib because it looked like it was people trying to cover up the windows and shutting the blinds quick. So they knew he peeping through the blinds, so they seen it was that guy. They shined a spotlight at him, and then they yelled over the intercom, the person in this address, you need to come out with your hands up. They yelled it 2 to 3 times before the guy turned on the light on the porch, and that's when the guys had to go in and retrieve him manually, and they brung him out of the front door right there. They had to throw him into the screen door to basically open it up because it got jammed. And they took him into the squad car and took him down to the North Philly precinct. And now everybody, once they informed Gillie da Kid, they brought the witnesses in and put him in the lineup and said, can you actually point to the person that you saw in the car driving? And they pointed to the same dude that they had brought in. So they know for a fact that they got the getaway driver. And now they doing the questioning and the interrogation to find out his accomplice and where they're hiding out at, because they got the records and the whole entire data from the phone that they actually seized from him. And they got the information of all the text messages going back and forth, plotting out the whole Gillie da Kid's son, finesse and the lick. They was about to rob him. And so they got the info of them actually planning it and talking to each other, all the back and forth messages saying where they were going to hide, what kind of car they was going to drive, what day he was supposed to come into town, when Gillie da Kid was going to show up and not. So they got the whole entire thing, and they about to pretty much involve the RICO because the feds don't play around. They're trying to find out what happened to Gillie da Kid's son, because Gillie da Kid is a celebrity and everything like that. And this is the biggest thing that happened in Philly in a long time. It was all over the Philly news. They were saying celebrity podcaster son passed away, get shot, old knee, everything like that. And so the whole city of Philly and Pennsylvania, the state DA is going to make an example out of this dude, because they know for a fact that this is somebody that they don't want to be going around and scaring folks and making them think that Philly ain't safe. Because for the most part, they say people in downtown Philly, it's like some of the homeless people, some people by Kensington, but Gillie da Kid wasn't found near Kensington. They say that the dudes that ended up getting caught usually hang around Kensington, and that's how they found the first guy. Was they seen him walking from Kensington into the house, and they followed him the whole way up with the whole undercovers and everything. So you guys got to understand that they looking at the people they under surveillance right now that did this to Gillie da Kid, and basically they're trying to get justice because this was an unfair thing. It was a whole thing that caught everybody by surprise. They already lost a lot of people in Philly, a lot of people that came out of Philly, man. Those legends, you got to remember them. And so they were trying to really make it so Gillie da Kid could get some type of closure, and they find the people because he never deserved this, man. YNG Cheese never deserved this to happen to him. And this is something that everybody got to come together and try to realize that we had to save the youth out here so nobody ends up like this again, having the same thing happen to what happened to Gillie da Kid's son, because this is something that's very important to the community.